Yes, well they do that, don't they? They sit up and they sniff the wind, don't they? Oh, it's the poppets. Hello, my little poppets, and welcome to story time. Well, you just caught Stinky and I pretending to be polar bears. Well, at least I was anyway. I've got my lovely white polar bear fur on here, and we were talking how polar bears, they stand up on the ice and they sniff the wind to see what they can smell. And Stinky is doing a project on polar bears. His teacher gave everyone an animal. She actually chose the animal, and she chose for Stinky a polar bear. Now, Stinky, have you started your project, dear? What's that? It's on the floor. Is it? Oh, all right. Oh, Stinky. Well, dear, I'm not exactly sure that's the right sort of paper for a project, dear. And what are those things there? They're two black eyes. Well, I'll hold it up for the poppets to see. I think my poppet Stinky is going to have to do some more work on this project. Stinky? That doesn't look like anything, dear. What's that? It's the polar bear looking through the snow. Yes, well, I think you need to do some more work on that. I don't think the teacher's going to be very pleased with that, Stinky. What's that? You'd rather watch TV. Well, you might like to watch TV, but if you have to do your homework, then it has to be done. And I think we'll work on that together, all right then? Yes. What's that? Well, you get a gold star. Well, perhaps if you work a little bit harder and put some more effort into that project, then you might get a gold star, but I don't think you're going to get a gold star with it looking like that, all right then? Yes, well, my dear poppets, speaking of polar bears, we have a wonderful story time cake here with a polar bear on the very top there. If you can see that there, a wonderful polar bear there on the very top with a chair and some delicious looking chocolate cookies right there on the very top. Well, Stinky, I think you should get comfortable, dear, and we'll crack on with today's story. All right, good boy. A funny project, Stinky. You'll have to put a lot more effort into that, I'm afraid, if you want a gold star. And today's story, my little poppets, is called There's a Bear on My Chair. And a rather wonderful polar bear, I have to say. A lovely polar bear sitting on a chair. He does look very smart. Wonderful polar bear. And here we go, my dear poppets. There's a bear on my chair. Well, yes, there is a rather large white polar bear sitting on a very smart chair. Look at that. And I have to say the mouse there doesn't look very impressed. He is so big it's hard to share. There isn't any room to spare. We do not make a happy pair, a mouse and a bear, with just one chair. And there's the mouse trying to shove the dear old polar bear off the chair. He doesn't want him there. Although I think he's going to have to shove the polar bear awfully hard to get him off that chair. When I gave him a nasty glare, he seems completely unaware. I don't know what he's doing there, that bear who's sitting on my chair. And there's polar bear there reading the newspaper, and he doesn't look like to me that he's going anywhere. He seems quite content there, having a read of the daily paper. I must admit he has some flair. He has fine taste in his leisure wear. I'm fond of how he does his hair, but still I wish he was not there. And there he is there. He's got, looks to me like he's dressed a little bit like Elvis there. Got a very loud sort of jacket on. And he thinks he looks very smart, I think, this polar bear. Dressed as Elvis. I'll try to tempt him with a pear, to lure him from my favourite chair. But he just leaves it sitting there. Why won't he go back to his lair? And there's an arrow there that says free pear. Well, the mouse is at his wit's end. He's tried, looks to me like almost everything. Even a pear is not doing the trick. Perhaps, my dear poppets, he should try a fish or something like that. I think he'd prefer a fish rather than a pear. Perhaps if I give him a scare, I'll jump out in my underwear, in his underwear, good Lord. But no, of course, he does not care. That stinky bear sat on my chair. Well, now the polar bear is on his mobile phone. Look at that, on his phone. He couldn't care less about the mouse. and he's not going anywhere. He's not bothered by the mouse in his underwear at all. I understand that bears are rare. I know they need the uttermost care. I know all that, I am aware, but still I cannot stand this bear. Well, now the polar bear is having a lovely hot cup of tea there, and on his jumper it says endangered. Yes, endangered, it says on his jumper. And there he is there, and now the polar bear has turned his back on the mouse, trying to ignore him and looking the other way. I wonder if that's going to do the trick. I don't know. That's it. I'm done. I do declare this bear has led me to despair. It is not fair. It is not fair. I'm going now. I don't know where. Well, the mouse has had it. He's had enough of this polar bear, and he wants his chair, and the bear won't get off. So that's it. It's the final straw for the mouse. He's had enough. Absolutely had enough. And the mouse is gone, and now finally the polar bear has come off the chair. And I think, my dear Poppets, he's wondering where the mouse has got to. I don't know. And now the polar bear is smiling, and he's heading home perhaps to his lair, walking through the snow. Great big polar bear. Hey, there's a mouse in my house. Well, that's where the mouse has got to. The bear wouldn't get off the chair, so the mouse has gone into the polar bear's lair, and he's lying on his bed. And I have to say, my dear Poppets, he does look very comfy indeed. The end. And that was called There's a Bear on My Chair. Look at that. A bear on my chair. Well, I did like that, I have to say, and very fitting with today with Stinky's project on polar bears. Well, Stinky, my chap, there you are. Did you enjoy that story, dear? You did like it. Oh, well, I'm so glad that you did. Now, Stinky, I think we'll have to have an early night. I think we're going to have to do some work on that project of yours on polar bears if you want a gold star, all right then? Yes, because that's just not really good enough, dear. You need to work a bit harder on that. Well, my dear Poppets, thank you so much for tuning in to Storytime. Perhaps you could be a polar bear walking through the snow and sniffing the wind, pretending to eat fish, or perhaps you could be a little mouse sitting on a chair, a bit like Stinky. As always, my dear ones, take care. Until next time, bye!